Good evening and a warm welcome to Health Digest with me, Dr. Mercy Korir on KTN News. Welcome to the show this 17th day of March 2018. And tonight, we bring you the story of Professor Anyang Nyong'o, the current governor of Kisumu County. Professor Nyong'o has made headlines first in 2010, when he announced that he had been diagnosed with prostate cancer. Thereafter, in 2011, when the country was undergoing a bit of turmoil in the health sector, and the professor was then the Minister of Medical Services. He had to undergo treatment in the US, and he gave us that story of his treatment of prostate cancer and how he is doing now. Recently, he just made it back to the country from the same United States of America where he had a hip replacement surgery. I had a sit down with Professor Nyong'o, and this is what he had to say about his experiences, his whereabouts, and what this has changed his life, or what it has made in terms of his mindset and his outlook of life, and specifically his health and that of Kenyans, and specifically his constituents in Kisumu County. Let's listen to part of this discussion with Professor Anyang Nyong'o.
It was a major challenge in terms of personal health, but also I was convinced then that we can achieve higher levels of medical care in this country.
Professor Anyang Nyong'o is not new to the media when it comes to his health. Recently, he spent time in Palo Alto Medical Center in California, in the United States of America, for medical care. Many assumed that the governor had gone for cancer care, cancer that was diagnosed and managed in 2011. But the 72-year-old governor of Kisumu County was there for a whole different reason.
I went to California, San Francisco, to the Palo Alto Medical Clinics, where I was being attended to by an orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Groh, who did a hip bone replacement for me. And of course, you know, after hip bone replacement, there is a period during which you have to have post-replacement care. It's very delicate with occupational therapists and physiotherapists and home care nurses and so on. And so I was meant to stay for 3 months for that kind of care, post-operation care, but I said, no, let me do 6 weeks. And then the rest I think I can do at home.
The hip, a ball and socket joint is one of the largest joints in the body. In total hip replacement surgery, the damaged bony components of the hip are replaced with metallic prosthetic components. Common causes of hip pain include various types of arthritis, including rheumatoid arthritis, traumatic injuries to the hip like fractures, and childhood hip disease. For Professor Nyong'o, it was an accident one morning.
I had the injury in November 2016 on this Kiambu Road. My driver was taking me to the airport early in the morning at 5, you know, this early morning to Kisumu. And just after we passed this, I think the CID place, a car came from in front of us driving very fast. I think the young man was drunk, I think. And he came and hit our car very badly on the right. Fortunately, we were in a Mercedes Benz, and I had the bang. And you know, for a moment, you kind of lose your mind. You don't know what's happening. Unfortunately for me, I had just bent down to tie my shoes because I left the house in a hurry. And I think because I had bent down to tie my shoes, there was pressure on this side. And so when the bang came, I must have injured my hip, but I didn't realize it because when I came out, I looked at myself. Nothing wrong. The driver also looked at himself. He was quite okay. So I left him there. I took a taxi to the airport to go to Kisumu and continue the campaigning. It was not until one day in February 2017 in the morning when I woke up and I found I could not lift my leg. It was as heavy as a stone. And I panicked. So I called my doctor at Aga Khan in Kisumu. He told me to rush to the hospital. I went to the hospital. He was suspecting a blood clot. So they did an ultrasound examination. Or they ruled out a blood clot. They did an MRI, and he suspected something in the hip bone. So he said, well, since he was not an orthopedic surgeon himself, he sent me to Nairobi to see the orthopedic surgeons in Aga Khan, where I again did an X-ray, which, according to these bone specialists, reveals better than an MRI. And they saw this hairline fracture on my hip bone.
How are you able to campaign and go through the political period with that pain?
No, I consulted several orthopedic surgeons, plus my pain management doctor at Aga Khan, and all of them said, well, you know, in the end you need a hip bone, but it's not urgent. You can manage it with some painkillers for the time being if there's pain, and continue your campaign. So of course I did that, and sometimes it was unbearable. There were days when I was so fed up with painkillers I couldn't take them, but then I couldn't walk either. So the pain manager told me, look, you have to choose. Do you want to walk? If you want to walk, then take the painkillers. They have their side effects, but that is the best you can do at the moment. Yeah.
Total hip replacement may be recommended when hip pain limits your daily activities, such as walking or bending, or when that pain persists even on resting, or stiffness that limits movement or the ability to lift the leg, or inadequate pain relief from pain medication or physical therapy. Why did you panic initially when you woke up and couldn't lift your leg? What made you panic?
Because I didn't know why I couldn't lift my leg. I didn't know that I didn't know where it was coming from. So because I could not think that there was anything wrong with the so-called hip bone. I didn't know that. So the fact that I couldn't lift my leg was, if you can't lift your leg, I mean, especially for a politician, I mean, you need to walk, man. No, it was frightening. It was literally very frightening.
In the opinion piece, you wrote that the kind of things that people say behind your back when you're going through such an ordeal may can prove very heartless, or people can prove to be very heartless.
Because you see, the reason why I think people can be very heartless, I know that in late 2010, I would say July 2010, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer here in Nairobi. Eventually, I went to the same California at the Helen Diller Cancer Care Center for prostate cancer treatment. Well, it was a shock, of course, and I was angry. And I said, well, what is all this? But very soon I talked to my wife and the doctor and accepted this reality. And now the thing to do is to decide what to do, and as quickly as possible. I was then Minister for Medical Services. When I was away, people were spreading all kinds of rumors. And then one day, a friend of mine had to call me and to find out, are you alive? I said, if I'm talking to you, definitely I'm alive. So I had to write 3, what you call op-eds in the Standard. I call them the Standard then, on exactly what was happening. They were very detailed, and I explained about what I had, the treatment I was going through, the prognosis by the doctors, and that because it was diagnosed early, it would be treated. And of course it was. Your health really is the only thing you got to keep you in this world. Whatever you're doing, whatever work you're doing, whatever money you're earning, if you don't look after your health, then why? Why are you doing that? Why are you earning this money? I mean, what's the point? 2018 now is about how many years? 8 years since then. But you see, when I went again to California for this hip bone replacement, people started talking, oh, he's gone, this cancer's recurred, blah, blah, blah. I mean, really, they are not my doctors. And you see, it is confirmed by the fact that when I came in, the first question that one journalist asked me, said, oh, you know, several years ago you went to a treatment for cancer. Is it recurred? Is why we went back. Not realizing that I had written in the papers exactly what was happening. And then she went on to say, you know, you people, when you're sick, you go abroad. It's not unfair to people who can't go and so on. I told her, yeah, definitely, it's not fair. But you know, solving the health system here is a much more major task than just dealing with an individual case. I I was Minister for Medical Services, and I know how I struggled to expand universal health coverage by NHIF because I'm concerned about that. I would like everybody to have good health care. But you know that almost on a daily basis, we're always doing alarm bells for people going to India or to going to Germany. Yeah. Appeals for fundraisers. So it's not that I do it because I'm happy doing it when others are suffering. No, I did it to save my health. After the advice of doctors here, because every case of these things is unique. You realize that in a place like Palo Alto Medical Clinics, the orthopedic surgeons specialize in certain. There are people who just deal with the arm. They will not touch any other bone. Others deal with the foot. Others deal with the neck. So when you go to a place where somebody is specialized in that area, unfortunately, we are not blessed with that kind of specialization so far in our medical system. You will receive very good care, you see. And there are other reasons, too, why I went to Palo Alto Medical Clinics to be taken care of by Dr. Groh. But the point is that, one, people should not confuse my having gone to California as having gone to be treated for cancer. No, I went for hip bone replacement. And let us be honest about this. Having said that, that was no reason at all why somebody should go to a political platform and begin discussing my health matters in public without my permission. That's a very private thing.
In 2011, when you wrote the op-eds,
yeah.
You said that it had made you see life differently,
yeah.
And had you are having different aspirations. Is it probably the reason why you are now a governor for Kisumu?
Well, partly yes, because it was a major challenge in terms of personal health. But also I was convinced then that we can achieve higher levels of medical care in this country. One of the reasons why I said that gave me a different view of life is that, you know, up to then, my experience as a member of parliament and as a public figure, and then as Minister for Medical Services, is that most Kenyans understood cancer to be a death certificate. That when you have somebody who has cancer, you just say, oh, this is the end of the world. Other people also felt that if you had cancer, it's something to be hidden from the public. So you go to the doctor and you are meandering about your diagnosis. The doctors also didn't want to tell, some doctors didn't want to tell the people the truth. So when they notice you have cancer, they kind of say, well, give you some antibiotics and so on. Because they too, especially when they were not properly trained in that area, also thought, well, there's no treatment, you see, ignorance.
Professor Nyong'o was diagnosed with prostate cancer back in 2010 following a rise in his prostate-specific antigen, or PSA, a screening test for prostate cancer. His regret was having not done a biopsy sooner before the cancer progressed. Luckily for the professor, the cancer was still confined to the prostate and he was treated in the United States. He underwent radiation therapy.
I felt, one, that good health must begin by good public awareness about one's health status, and therefore the importance of making medical examinations very important up to the lowest levels of healthcare. So I felt, as Minister of Medical Services, that the best way to reduce occurrence of certain diseases like cancer is to improve personal knowledge about your state of health, so that from the dispensary and health center levels, you begin having good medical records of people so that they can be advised about certain preventive measures. So it so happens that one of the major causes of cancer is lifestyle. You know, physical lifestyle, the foods that you eat, and so on. And you find that maybe in traditional African society, we didn't have too many cases of cancer because people ate very healthily.
active.
And they were active. So incidences of cancer may not have been that many. You see what I mean? Of course, there are a few causes of cancers which are genetic. And scientists have not determined what predisposes a human being to certain genetic traits to make them disposable to cancer. We don't know. But insofar as we know that we can prevent cancer by lifestyle and so on, by diet, then we should make it known to people from very early on. You see, so that's why I'm saying it gave me a really new perspective about life that up to that point in time, even as a Minister of Medical Services, although I used to go to the gym and so on, and I made sure that there was not much salt in the food and we're eating fruits and so on, I did not become very conscious of how to explain this to other people and how to do it at the family level. Okay? So that's the new perspective of life that I said it had given me. But asking the question, would this have been the reason why I want to be governor of Kisumu? Yes, because health is now a county matter. Water is a county matter. Culture is a county matter. You see what I mean? And all these combined, environment is a county matter. And all these combined to do with improving healthcare or the life chances of people, let's put it that way. And I felt, having experienced this in medical services and then as a senator, you know, senators are a major function, a major responsibility to take care of counties. Having tried to take care of counties from the Senate for 5 years, and I didn't see we doing a very good job, I said, let me go down there and do it myself.
Do you think people take the fact that you're a public figure, that anything that goes on about you, even your health, is a matter of public interest?
Of course, public figures, everything that goes about us is a matter of public interest, but public must also realize that you have to respect private matters. I remember when I was in high school, we were reading a book where somebody was complaining about government inversion into private affairs in England. They said the Englishman's home was once said to be his castle. It is fast becoming his prison. In other words, the Englishman's home was once said where they are most at peace. But now it's becoming a prison in the sense that you are trying to ward off intrusion into your private life. Now, I am the first who will say that we as public officials, we should always be open when we have some health problems, because health is a public issue. Okay. President Mwai Kibaki was very open about it when he had an accident and when we took treatment abroad, when he had a stroke, he was very open about it. Ambassador Mudaura, when he was taken to South Africa, you remember, was very open about it. The government said openly why he was going. Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, when he was admitted to Nairobi Hospital at one point, and then taken to Germany, flown to Germany, he was very open about it. So it's not just me, there are people who have lived in this country and led by example in this matter. But once a public figure makes public his health matters, it should be respected. Let not some smart Alex.
You call them busybodies.
Busybodies begin conjuring stories for their own benefit, you see. In this case, the topic was getting ready to succeed the governor, who had just been sworn in hardly a few weeks or a few months. The next election is 2022. And that's what upset me, unless somebody was saying, we are not waiting for the next election. They think I will come back in a box. You see, it's not very kind. No, I think it's very uncharitable. Yeah.
The main ways of treating prostate cancer are radical prostatectomy, which is surgery for the removal of the prostate, radiation, or hormone ablation therapy, where one or more hormones are used to shut down the production of testosterone that feed the cancerous cells. When starved of the hormone, the cells shrink and eventually die. Depending on the stage of the cancer, the doctors could decide to use one or a combination of these treatments.